You're listening to KMRE 102.3 FM in beautiful Bellingham, Washington. Your community, your voice, your station. I'm Matt Benoit, and this is Are You Serious? It's a local comedy podcast where Bellingham comedians get real. My guest today is the man they call Sweet Baby A, Alex McKay. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing pretty good.
That was a genuine question. I don't just ask that.
That's good, because some people are very insincere.
Yeah,
about
disingenuous.
that. Disingenuous, yeah. That's right. So it's a warm day out. You've got your, it's not a bandana, it's a do-rag.
It is a do-rag.
It's a do-rag. It's a Stars and Stripes do-rag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a patriot, just like our boy Comey. Me and him, we're real tight, real patriots. Just
yeah,
you know. Also Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Real Americans.
Real Americans.
You know, Hulk Hogan was a rapper too.
Was he?
Yeah, he had a really good. Well, good I guess is relative. But he had a cassette tape. I had it when I was a kid. And it had, you know, I'm a Real American on it, his theme song, but it also had a really good song called Beach Patrol. And I remember part of the verse, it's my favorite verse in all of rap. He says, "Saw a girl in trouble, a sticky situation. She wanted me to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation." So good.
Mm. And you got to just imagine that in his, you did a decent impression, but the actual gravel of Hulk Hogan.
And this is 90s Hulk Hogan, so this is like steroid Hulk.
Oh, yeah. Back when steroids were all the cool kids were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, wrestling, you name it.
You gotta have it.
Gotta have that human growth hormone.
The competitive edge.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ask Lance Armstrong about that.
I will.
Okay, cool. Next time you see him, just tell him Matt says hi.
Okay. I mean, he's my ride, so you can just
okay. All
come
right.
outside.
Yeah, that's gonna be. He's gonna fit you on the bike.
You can ride on his back.
Okay, fair enough. He's got a pretty wide back.
Oh yeah.
Probably from all the steroids.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's part of the pleasure.
Yeah.
Of being Lance Armstrong.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex McKay.
My earliest memory of performance in general is I was at a talent show, I think, in kindergarten. It's still kind of vague, but I sang "It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas," and I did a good finger. This was my finger gesture dance, was just waggling my fingers from side to side. It's
okay.
Beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Was it almost Christmas?
Yeah,
I hope.
It was March.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was like a Christmas pageant talent show sort of thing, and my dad recorded it. So it's still out there. It's in the ether. And so my dad was in a band. He was in the Rio Rita family band at that time period, and he ended up recording in the Fairhaven recording studio up at Western, and like cut me in to the beginning of his song about how awful it is to be like a working class. He worked at a manufacturing, like a ski pole manufacturing and tape deck head cleaner manufacturing plastics plant. But so he wrote like this song about how awful it is to work there and how he wants something better for me. And, you know, so he cut me in the beginning there, but I was always around that music when I was growing up. And then in high school, I was in a band called Savage Henry. We were together for like 7 years, and then I started rapping, and then I started doing comedy. I'd not really thought about doing comedy until I was an adult, until I was like 25 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I got into it because I didn't need to practice with anybody else. Like I didn't need to, you know, haul gear around.
Right.
But I just had to be on that stage, you know? Need that attention.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were more immersed in music growing up than you were in comedy.
Yeah, I mean, I had Let's Get Small. I had a couple Steve Martin records, or my dad had them, and we listened to them. And we always watched, you know, comedy shows. We didn't have cable, so I didn't get like HBO, Comedy Central, anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I'd watch Conan when I was growing up a lot. They played it after school. They played The Simpsons and Conan back to back on CBC, on the Canadian Channel 2.
In like the afternoon?
Yeah, at like 4:30 to 5:30 or 4:30 to 6 or something.
Oh,
like that,
wow, nice.
I think. And then they had news and then the Red Green Show.
You have a relatively absurd sense of humor,
Hey,
kind of off the
watch
wall. Yeah. But, I mean, like, do you feel like your sense of humor is partially derived from him, or?
I mean, I don't know. I think that everybody's parents play a pivotal role in, kind of forming your sense of humor. And your dad, I mean, dad jokes, there's a reason that that's
Right.
like a concept. I want to make my dad laugh, and my dad's ridiculous and has a ridiculous sense of humor and very funny.
But, I mean, I guess do you feel like your senses of humor are somewhat similar?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you've recorded, now one of the things I've seen on Facebook in the past year or so is that you and him recorded a couple of musical things for donating to Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Institute or whatever, and very good harmonies.
Thanks.
Good a cappella harmonies, you and him.
Yeah, he was never a singer. He was the drummer in the
Okay.
band. And I sang in some stuff. But yeah, we've been raising money. He's been raising money for Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research. We've sat in the car, and he always wants to make videos with me, and like he's like, "Oh, you can use that in your little skits, and you can use that on the podcast. Here, I've got a good idea for your podcast, Alex. How about you do a ventriloquist act on a podcast, on an audio only medium?" It's like, "Oh yeah, okay, Dad, let's do that." But I enjoy spending time with him, and I like making videos with him. I don't know if this is a good place to plug, but it's give.classy.org/Johnny Trash.
Johnny Trash.
That's what my dad calls himself.
Nice.
And a lot of people call him that.
Johnny Trash.
Johnny Trash. He was an announcer for the Roller Betties.
Donkashane, darling Donkashane, thank you for all the donating. $20 goes a long, long way for the researchers at Fred Hutch, researching every day.
So as far as your musical endeavors, are you normally a vocalist, or did you also play drums, guitar? What did you?
I mean, I dabble in other instruments. I play guitar like semi-competently, rhythm guitar. I don't solo or anything like that. In the band in Savage Henry, I sang. I was like the front man, but everybody else was like really good musicians, and so I had to like learn how to play the keyboard because they already had two guitars, and bass and drums and auxiliary percussion, and but I could sing nominally better than other people, and I wasn't afraid to make an idiot of myself.
Right.
So I could jump around on stage and do that.
That obviously helps with comedy, not being afraid to embarrass yourself. So, at what point, you said you didn't really start doing stand-up until you're 25. At what point did you say, I really want to try stand-up? And when and where did you actually get up and do it?
Let's see, after the band was done, and I was rapping with Dirty North Crunk Collective, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's serious business. Crunk is like serious stuff, but also there's some humorous overtones to our stupid raps. Jabez Richard is an amazing rapper. I always like to be funny, and so we wrote some comedy raps and stuff. And while I was doing that, I started trying to come up with sketch ideas and like short movie ideas and writing jokes and writing comedy. So it wasn't long before I think I was 25 or 26, and I had the idea that I wanted to do an open mic. There was an open mic in town, and so I just showed up, and I went on stage at the Glow, the now defunct Glow nightclub. For some reason, I thought it was a hip-hop comedy show, and I don't know why I got that idea, because I had the idea of doing stand-up when I was rapping.
Yeah.
I guess.
So you just rapped your jokes?
No, well, I don't, it was pretty bad. It was pretty problematic, and I'm glad that there's no footage of it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just like kind of went as my character from Dirty North Crunk Collective, Dr. Spanky Speculum.
Spanky Speculum.
Spanky Speculum. And I don't know. I just dressed up like I did when we were rapping and stuff, like, you know, camo pants and my DNCC wife beater and like.
So you're very much in character.
Very much in character, and I went up and I told Milton Berle jokes. I had a book, 10,000 collected Milton Berle jokes, but I updated them for the modern era, for like the streets, you know. And yeah, it was like. Oh God, I don't even want to repeat them. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good one. And they were all really bad, like Melancholy Baby, you know, one, face like I know this girl, body like a melon, face like a collie, call her my melancholy bitch.
Yeah.
But there was one joke that got a laugh, and it was kind of a story joke, and it had to do with like a woman, like there was this dentist that had never had sex, and like there's a vagina dentata thing or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they had some act outs, and like I'd do some stuff with my face, and that was the only joke that got a laugh because every other joke was just dumb and bad.
So in other words, the first set as a whole went horribly, but you did get that laughter at that one.
The last joke too. I was thankful that it was the last joke.
Always
because
end on the
otherwise
laugh.
I might not have done it.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Wow. So, I mean, after that, even though the first one kind of went terribly, in your mind, were you like, I want to keep doing this right after that first
Yeah, I was like,
thing?
Milton Berle sucks at jokes. I'm going to write my own jokes. Yeah,
Okay.
I did. I liked the attention. I liked that I didn't have to lug an amp up 2 flights of stairs.
Right.
And, yeah, I got to do something. I got to make a spectacle of myself somehow.
I was hanging out with this dude that I don't know that well, like we're not super good friends. So conversation's a little hard. I'm like, hey man, how's it going? What have you been up to? And he's like, well, I just had my first orgy. And I was like, oh, I don't know you that well. I really wanted to know more about that, like where they happen and like what time. And
let's see, what's the worst place that I ever performed? I know the worst set that I ever had.
Okay, what was that?
That was at the Village Inn. There was comedy there for a
Yeah,
while.
there
and
was.
And it wasn't actually a terrible place to perform.
I did
It
a couple
wasn't
times,
great.
and a couple times it was pretty fun.
Yeah, but it wasn't designed for comedy.
No.
And like there's, the section with it that was like dining, like, tables and stuff. And there was a small stage. People did karaoke there sometimes, I guess, or whatever. And so that was half of the bar, and then the other half was pool tables and like burly bikers playing pool and like not really wanting to have, people screaming about their wing wongs.
Yeah.
And all, yeah. Anyways, so and I really liked performing in that place because their well vodka was my favorite plastic handle, second to bottom shelf vodka.
Yeah.
I always tried to measure my drinking before. And I would drink a lot. Like I was definitely a heavy drinker, and measure my drinking before my set. And so I didn't get too drunk, and I was able to perform okay. Then we went through all 6 of us that signed up for the open mic. And, after I got off my first set, I, went and had more drinks, like plenty of them, and then got back up on stage for second sets, which is always an ill-advised idea. It's like, well, we haven't walked the entire room yet. Let's do another round of sets. Like, let's do all of our B material now, guys.
God.
And I went up, and I was like, I remember there was a group of people that had just walked in for the second sets, and I was doing a joke where I do a Brooklyn accent. It was a story, and I was pretty drunk, and then I blacked out on stage.
Wow.
And I was like telling this joke, and this guy started heckling me about like, oh, you're not from New York. And I don't remember, but I was told. I just got up in his face and was like, no, sir. No, sir. No, sir. It's not. And then I didn't even finish my set. I just yelled no, sir at him for like a couple minutes. And
Wow.
then somebody helped me off stage. And then he wanted to fight me afterwards.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yeah. I think it was because I was talking bullpucky
Yes.
real loud.
Man.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
was bad. So that was the worst time I ever did comedy. But I
Yeah.
like doing comedy wherever.
Yeah.
I
guess what would you consider the weirdest places you've done stand up?
Weirdest places that I've done stand up. I did. The Alternative Library had a show for a while, and that was cool though.
Mhm.
Like they made everybody sit on the floor because it's all hippied out.
Yeah. And it was just a general open mic, so anyone could.
No, it was a I think it was a comedy open mic
Really?
only.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just comics. They got somebody to host. I don't know, like Ben or Randall hosted or something like that. And it was fun. It was just very weird, like to be surrounded with, you know, books and comics and like comic books and then like a bunch of 19-year-old kind of hippie kids sitting on the floor, like laughing, I guess. I remember them being pretty receptive to the comedy.
That's good.
But it's like their experience is so far removed from the general like drunk bar full of people that are out on a Monday night, you know. I also did stand up on a outdoor festival, like you did recently. And there's like a stage with rappers like not too far away, and there's like only 4 people in like sitting down on the lawn, and it was like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh.
It's like not set up for comedy.
Yeah. Seems like sometimes you all manage to find a place where some guy's like, yeah, man, we're going to pay in drink tickets. Come on. Just, you know.
And like you can do good if they get butts in the seats. Like people can do good even if not set up for comedy.
Yep.
And even if they don't, I mean, there's still stuff to be learned from doing those gigs.
There is.
But not really
Even crowd work or
yeah. I mean, it's rough. It's not pleasant.
No.
But you can still do good no matter where you are, really.
So people ask me like what I do, you know, sometimes, and I can't just say drugs, but I do look like I do them, I think. Like I kind of exude a style of like what I like to call fuck up couture. So like people don't ask me on the street for money or anything, you know. And if they do, it's because they weren't looking. They're like, oh, hey man, you got a quart? Oh shit, sorry. I'm sorry. You know where I can get me dope though? I'm like, yeah.
How long have you been sober now for?
I've been sober for 2 years, I think, right?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, I think.
Because you were still drinking when I came back from college and moved back here.
It was like August. 2 years ago.
Yeah, and so I guess I like how I phrased the question. When and why did you first start drinking? Why do you drink?
Why?
Why would you do that?
I love that taste.
Yeah.
Good old bottom shelf.
But I guess how young were you when you started drinking?
Like 16.
16.
Yeah. And I started drinking because it was available, because it was accessible, and because my friends were doing it, and because I liked the way that it made me feel. It kind of made me not so worried about myself and not like dislike myself so much, you know. Made me feel like I was a happier person.
Were you the whole time you drank, were you a fairly heavy drinker, or did it just really escalate at some point?
Let's see. No, I mean, whenever I was drinking, I kind of went for it. I don't think I was never like let's kick back with one beer after work kind of deal. It was like, oh yeah, let's kick back with like a 6-pack or like a, you know, a 5th vodka or something. And it did escalate. I mean, it ramped up.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
You know, unless you're not drinking at all of us drink to some degree, and I think when you're starting out, it's easy to just be like, oh man, I gotta drink a lot, otherwise I'm not gonna be able to handle this.
Right. Nerves and all that. Yeah.
So, you know, people draw the line differently on how much you drink on stage or before their sets. So, I guess what's the drunkest? Now, you said you usually would taper things before performing, but then afterward it's kind of just like you drank as much as like
right.
what was
for lost time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what's the drunkest you've performed blackout drunk?
Yeah, that's probably the drunkest that I ever was. I don't think I was ever drunk. Like, I don't think I ever was too drunk. Well, okay, let me rephrase it. I was definitely too drunk to go on stage and do comedy a lot of times, but it didn't keep me from going on stage. Yeah. I never got drunk to the point where I couldn't physically get myself on stage and remember my jokes. Right. For the most part, except for that one time, probably a couple others that I don't remember. Obvious reasons.
Because I can remember you doing shows at the Horseshoe when you were still drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And there were shows where it was clear you'd been drinking, but it didn't stop you from being funny. Right. I mean, the jokes were still there. You were still telling them, and you were still being silly, and it was working.
And I could recognize when I was, like, so drunk that I couldn't remember a joke or whatever, and then often I just try to, make fun of that, like do some self-deprecating, like, oh, I don't know, boy, I'm an alcoholic. Isn't that funny? I don't know. I don't have those jokes in my pocket anymore, but
right.
Oh boy, but they were so good when, they were so good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would always try to recover somehow, and like say something that would make people laugh, regardless of whether it's at me or at my jokes.
Right. Get that laughter. Yeah. You performed fairly drunk, but you're still able to be functional as a comedian when you were drinking.
Let me just say, functional as a comedian, I wasn't good.
Yeah.
I don't want to give the impression that I was good by any stretch of the imagination. It was like first couple years of doing comedy, so not great, and then load of fucking, load of
booze.
Yeah, load of fifth on top of that.
Yeah.
Bunch of vodka, and it wasn't good, but I'd still get laughs sometimes.
Right. So I guess now that you've been performing long enough where you've done a number of sets drunk and you've done a number of sets sober, what's the difference like for you? Is there a lot more control and clarity being sober? How do you feel funnier sober? How is that?
Everybody told me that when I quit drinking that I was a lot funnier, and when I first went back up after stopping and tapering off and all that, so just and it was really raw, like it was really intense, and I actually have to experience these nerves instead of having something to do to smash them down. So it was raw, but I think that I felt more in control, yes, and sharper and able to remember the structure of the jokes and remember like whole sets without bringing my little scraps up on stage or scraps of notes. And people told me that they thought I was funnier and that they liked me better probably as a person after stopping drinking so much. Yeah. It's not impossible to do it, do anything sober. It seems like especially with comedy, with something like, oh, everybody's afraid of public speaking is like the biggest fear or whatever. It's still like you can do it if you want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, if you do it enough, you finally get to a point where you kind of conquer that fear and you're like, oh, this is just what I do.
I still get nerves and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
But you absolutely can do it. It's just another thing of, taking the steps up on stage and taking the mic out and talking.
So what do you do if you're not dampening with alcohol? How do you dampen the nerves now, or do you just kind of go with it?
I chain smoke a lot of cigarettes.
Okay,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what they tell you is like work on the thing that's killing you most, and then you work on the next thing and the next thing. So that's probably the next thing that I want to do is like cut back smoking so much, bro.
When I was drinking, I would send out pictures of my dick, but not weird. I wasn't weird about it, okay? Like I just sent them out to like my friends, to like my good buds, just sharing my body with my good buddies, and they probably liked it, and so I sent it out, but I haven't done that in a while. They like look at it and go, oh, gross, and I'm like, this is great. I'm a good friend. But I haven't been doing it. I haven't been doing it in a long time. And people actually come up to me now and like, hey, Alex, is your dick okay? Like, just haven't heard from him in a while. Like, yeah, no, it's doing good. But so now that I've sobered up and stuff, every once in a while one of my friends will come up to me and like pull out their phone and be like, hey Alex, remember sending me this? Oh. It's weird to get sexually harassed with your own dick.
How much were you drinking at your worst point a night, and at what point did you go, this needs to stop?
It was an all day thing for me. I think I was averaging about 15, 17 shots a day.
Wow.
Just taking, and I had my little tally mark next to my bottle.
You're actually keeping track?
Because I wanted to start cutting back, taper down,
right.
Stop killing my body.
Yeah.
But that was like, obviously you only start keeping track when it's really bad.
Yeah.
So before that, probably less, and I don't know, that was just like on an average day. Like if I got real like tore up, there'd be more, like 25 maybe, I don't know.
I mean, were you still working full time during this time, or you were? So you were even going to work and getting.
Yeah. Well, I was like maintaining and stuff. But,
yeah. The quintessential functional alcoholic, where it wasn't interfering with your work, but you were still drinking throughout the day, and then once you're off work, probably
with like my energy levels and
certainly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, at what point were other people trying to say, hey, you should did any of their comics be like, hey, man, you should probably...
Yeah, people talked to me about it, and I was like, whatever, man. I don't know. I wasn't... You can't ever... I mean, you can say something to somebody if it's really bugging you, and that's fine, but you can't make anybody do anything. You can't tell somebody to stop and have them just be like, oh, I respect your opinion and you're right.
Right.
That's just not how it works, because you'll backslide or whatever. Even if you really like them and respect them and try to do it, it's really easy to backslide on that kind of thing. So yeah, people talked to me about it and said that they're worried about me, and I appreciate their concern. And but also I was secretly like, hey, screw you.
Right.
Like, don't tell me how to live my life. You don't know me.
Yeah. Do you remember the last drink you had ever?
Well, I remember like the day that I was quitting drinking, I was like trying to not drink all day, and I was at the point where I was physically addicted, so if I would stop drinking, then I could die.
Yeah.
So I remember I was like trying to like keep it together, and like, you know, did some shots, and then did my day and kind of white knuckled it throughout the whole day. And then I went to an AA meeting, and I just went too long without drinking. Then I had a seizure.
Oh, wow.
And went to the hospital, and that's when I was like, oh, maybe alcohol is not right for me.
Yeah.
You know?
See your doctor, and your doctor's like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Prescribe you the opposite. But, I mean, I've had a couple episodes, like, over a year ago that I've backslid. Like, I relapsed a couple times, and, you know, that's part of the process, I guess. It's just a matter of, like, making sure that you don't let yourself fall back into that pattern, because that's where you get in trouble. And then you're like, how do I cope with this? Oh, I know that booze works to help me not cope with stuff.
Right.
And so it's really easy to fall back into a pattern of using and using and using. But I was able to not do that and think, wow, that was a really stupid idea. And gee, my head hurts. I still say I quit drinking 2 years ago. There have been, I think, twice in the last 2 years when I've drank, and none in the last year.
Okay.
So it was like, you know, within a couple months of quitting drinking, I was still raw and all that. But
because that was one of my next questions was, you know, being that you're in comedy and you're performing at bars a lot, there's always alcohol around. How do you keep yourself from breaking your sobriety when you're constantly around people who are drinking? I mean, when you're at the Frog every Monday and you're usually drinking water or like Coke or something, you know, something bubbly, soda or whatever. I mean, are you tempted? Does it tempt you every time, or have you kind of gotten used to just saying, I'm not going there?
I've definitely gotten used to it. Like, and that's one of the interesting things about sobriety is, like, you know, when I was drinking, I was like, I can't envision my life without alcohol. But now, like, you know, you put so many days together and months and however long you have sober, it gets easier and easier. And when I first started going back, I think I was tempted, and I was resentful of people that were drinking, like could drink or whatever. And so, you know, eventually I did backslide, but then I would like see how I was, or like what I did and how I acted, remember what happened. And I was like, God, that just is some stupid stuff. Like, that I acted really dumb, was really mean, or, you know, not funny, not good, not fun to be around. And so I know that drug makes me do these things or act this way, and I don't like that person. So it's not hard to just to just say no.
I think that tarot is pretty cool. It's interesting because some of the cards aren't at all what they seem like. You get the Hanged Man, and it sounds really scary, but it's just about like accepting discomfort in your life. But some of them are. No, that's true. But some of them are like kind of on the nose though. Like not the Hangman, that's a little obscure, but like a really on the nose one. Like you draw the kid fucking the anthill of Pentacles, and you know what it means. I mean, that card, it's exactly what it says. It's like something's got to change in your life.
I don't really miss drinking at all. if anything, I miss the feeling of not being in my own head so much and not like hating myself so much and all that. But I get that in other areas now that I wouldn't be able to. Like I'm able to be productive and, make people laugh still, like hang out with people and have genuine conversations and stuff that I wouldn't really have been able to do or wouldn't remember doing when I was drinking. And that makes me feel good about myself. So I don't have to, instead of like crushing the self-loathing, it's just like doing good stuff that makes me feel good and feel good about myself.
Do you think alcohol makes comedy better or funnier? Like, do you think it's essential in given circumstances for an audience to enjoy a show more?
I think alcohol can lower people's inhibitions. It can allow people to not be so uptight, and that is crucial in appreciating comedy and not being afraid to laugh as an audience member. I don't think it's necessary. I think it can help. It can also really, really hurt if you get a crowd that's way too drunk, not paying attention, yelling shit out. It can lower your inhibitions to the point where you just want to be in the show and you start screaming at the stage.
At that point, you're detracting from the quality of the show.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Exactly. So it can help and it can hurt. I don't think it's necessary at all.
Okay.
Like at the what do you call it? The alternative library show.
Right.
Good show. No booze was being served. Probably all those kids were stoned.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I mean, maybe not.
Being that you're now a sober comedian, if you see any other comedians struggling with, alcohol dependency, I mean, are you more likely to talk to them and try and be there for them and maybe suggest anything? Or having gone through that whole thing, maybe feel like it's best to tread lightly?
Well, I mean, for anybody that's struggling with that stuff, I know what it's like. And I've quit doing like different substances multiple times. And so I'm well aware of what it's like and how easy it is to fall into it, how scary it is to try to get out, that kind of stuff. And for anybody, not just comics, I mean, I'm down to talk with anybody about that. And the thing is, I'm not going to bring it up to anybody. If anybody, I make it clear that if anybody wants to talk to me about it, I'm around. But it's none of my business if somebody just wants to keep doing drugs, keep drinking, doing whatever. It's none of my business, and I'm not going to be able to make them change.
Right. If
they get real like messed up and do something hurtful towards me, I'll let them know and be like, "Hey, you're really drunk and you cut my leg off."
Yeah.
And I didn't appreciate that.
And if it weren't for having that tourniquet on me, I would have bled out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for the tourniquet. But like, it was nice of you to have that at least. Yeah. So you're mitigating. But I mean, I'm around if people want to talk about it. But I'm never gonna force the issue with anybody unless they, steal my money and go bust some fools.
Right.
Break somebody.
I'm still caught up in the tourniquet thing. It's weird that you would, if someone cuts your leg off and they have it, like, that's not their first appendage rodeo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
it takes a while.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I was distracted. I was having a conversation with somebody else, and then they were just hacking away.
Earlier in your life, you had gotten into drugs and stuff, and we don't have to get into that in any detail, but was drinking more and more kind of a replacement for that?
Well, it's I always have had these feelings of like, oh God, everything's your fault. You're the worst. That negative self-talk kind of stuff.
Right.
Always, like, since I was a little kid.
Just quiet it down with
and
whatever.
Quiet it down with something, yeah. I mean, at the risk of coming off as a cliche, but it's like, I think getting on stage is like something that makes me feel like I'm actually doing something and not just a complete failure. Mm-hmm. And like getting that immediate validation, like, forget going to school and working hard for so many years and getting a career and furthering education and all that. But like when I was 10 years old and we took DARE, I heard about heroin. Mm-hmm. And I knew that the DARE thing was kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I've read books where people smoke weed and stuff, and it's not like what you're telling us. But hearing about heroin, it's like, oh, so you get this euphoria and you get sleepy and all that. That's like, that is how I want to die. When I was 10 years old, I had this thought about how I want to die is heroin overdose. That would be the good way to die.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was from DARE.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah,
that
of
seems to
course.
be a flaw in there.
Yeah,
In
well.
there, I mean.
Oh, no, let's bring it back, man. We'll, Dare 2.0. We'll do it good. Love that. Love that sessions. Let's do the opposite of Dare. It's called Truth.
Truth.
Ooh, think about it.
And all the people in Truth are like, we did drugs, and yeah, there's bad stuff, but here's the good stuff too.
Yeah, there's good stuff too. And also, but don't do heroin or
Yeah.
even opiates. Even if your doctor prescribes you opiates, you need to
Right.
be very careful with
Yes.
using those to manage your pain.
Hamsters know all about that.
Hamsters know a lot about it. I have a joke about a hamster who gets addicted to heroin and is very good. I've been telling it for years. I still don't have an ending. It always peters out.
Yep.
So write in with an ending to that joke.
All right. You're a very open performer on stage when it comes to the topics that you will discuss. But is there anything that you just was like, not going to talk about that? Like, where do you draw the line?
I have jokes about like a lot of different stuff that like can be really hacky.
Mhm.
And a lot of people do it and are offensive. You know, like it's very, very touchy subjects, easy to make offensive. And I don't do them anymore. Like, I've got these jokes that I think are funny. People think are funny generally. But I just don't do them anymore because I don't want to hurt people. Like, I don't want to bring up past trauma. I don't want to make people feel like attacked or unsafe or anything at a comedy show. Like, I've got a joke about suicide that I just have stopped doing because I think it's not, like, I'm not funny enough or smart enough to do a joke about that material. I don't have anything that needs to be said about that subject. And if I did, then maybe I would try it out. But the ones that I've got, just, I mean, they might be funny. They might make a lot of people laugh a whole bunch. But if there's somebody in the audience that doesn't like it, who came to a comedy show and then I said something that
Right.
made them feel like crap,
That could be very hurtful,
that,
and you
yeah,
don't want to do that.
I don't
yeah.
know.
That's the
wanted
exact
to do
opposite of the reason why you go on stage. You want to
Yeah.
make people feel better, not worse.
that. Right. And I even had a joke. So when I was like first starting out, right, testing the waters and trying to figure out what's funny, I had this story that had somebody saying the N-word in it, and I thought it was real, like, cool and funny or whatever. And I was like, you know, a year and a half into doing comedy or whatever, and I did the joke, and I saw somebody in the audience who, like, was laughing earlier, really not laughing during that joke, and I went up to him afterwards and I talked to him about it. I said, yeah, like, I just thought that was a really crappy joke. Like, I don't think that you should be saying that stuff. And I was like, okay, well, that's fair enough. Like, you know, I get that. And apparently it wasn't as, like, groundbreaking and funny as I thought. And a lot of new comedians do that kind of stuff and then get really defensive about it. And they're like, no, but my jokes, it's just a joke. I should be able to do jokes where I say shit because I'm not serious when I'm saying I'm just joking. It's just jokes. But if it's hurting people, like if it makes somebody feel bad, then you're not doing your job right. It's not a good joke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I told her, like, you know, I just can't take this anymore. When I saw her, I said, I'm breaking up with you. I'm breaking up with you now. And she said, what? Is that like one of your jokes? No, that's not one of my jokes. It's not funny. Why do you think that's one of my jokes? She said, yeah, because it wasn't funny. I thought it was one of your jokes.
Earlier this year, you endured, the breakup of a long-term relationship. So, but especially when it was very fresh, you've, since moved on and you have a new girlfriend, right? And everything's good.
Yeah.
So did doing comedy or being around your comedy friends during that time help you? Or did actually making jokes about it, and you have done some breakup material.
Right. Well,
Was that cathartic for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was cathartic for me for sure. Like, that was actually when we first broke up. That was one of the first things that I did. I was like super devastated and like really messed up emotionally, and like I called up Phil Rose, one of my comic buddies, and like he gave me a ride over to his house, and I ended up staying with him for a while. And that was one of the first things, is like trying to make jokes about it, because it's so painful. And, you know, I was so upset and so hurt that you got to start making jokes about it to make, you know, to keep you from crying, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it helped. It gave me something to do, gave me something to focus on, and somewhere to be. And, you know, I was in the routine of going to the open mics and stuff. And so keeping that routine helped me, you know, not do anything stupid and feel good about myself. Not wallow in self-pity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Got that killer breakup material, man. That sweet 5 minutes.
Yeah.
My high five.
Yeah.
That's what I like to call it. I've coined the phrase high five.
Because there are some really good jokes there, and you know, I guess it's kind of like the same. But there's just a ton of differences between doing music and doing comedy. But I guess when it comes to breakup material, like that's golden when whether you're doing comedy or music.
Yeah, for sure. Any painful experience that you have, I'm gonna write a song in it with a ton of jokes in it.
Yeah.
Just go up there and do musical comedy.
That's it.
And yeah, that's the funny thing. It is like, pain is very funny. Pain is very funny to other people. Like there's that Mel Brooks quote, like, tragedy is when I cut my finger. Comedy is when you fall down an open sewer and die.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are like a person that is providing comedy to other people, then bad stuff happens to you. They love it.
You talking about feeling like comedy makes you feel less of a failure. I mean, why do you?
Which is fucking funny.
Yeah. But why do you keep doing comedy at this point? After doing it for 5 years, do you feel you need it in your life to stay kind of balanced, or?
Well, I've been doing it a little bit less just because I haven't been writing as much and writing as many jokes, but it's a good outlet. Like, it's something that I feel like I'm okay at, and it's something that makes me feel good about myself. And so I do want to keep doing it and getting that applause and all them groupies. Oh my God. It's nuts. It's out of control.
Yes, certainly. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten laid from doing comedy.
Oh, man.
0 times.
0. Yeah.
But I think realistically, there's probably a couple times where I could have and then didn't take advantage of it. I don't know. But you just get away from that real quick.
Sure.
So in addition to comedy and music, you now this is a defunct group, right? Dirty North Crunk Collective, no longer around, or are they still around?
Dirty North Crunk Collective for life.
For life. You have a tattoo on
That's
your like your upper shoulder, or where is it? Yeah, that has the.
That's the only one you know about.
Okay, it says DNCC though, right?
That's Dirty North Crunk Collective. Also, Dogs Not Cats Club.
Okay, fair enough.
Which I've since come around. I do enjoy a cat.
Okay.
From now and then.
Yeah.
Now and then. We haven't put out any records in a while, but DNCC is still part of my life. All those people in that group I really love.
So how did this group form? Tell me about this.
When I was in Savage Henry jam band, we went down and like played a show in Port Townsend. Like we knew people that played music up here. Met Jabez, who started Dirty North Crunk Collective, and he was rapping in Port Townsend. We went down there and like stayed at his mom's house or something. Because he got us a show down there, played with him, did a show together, did a couple shows together. And so that's how I got to know him. And we brought, we were a bunch of Ferndale boys, and we brought our friend Sierra just to come along and hang out down there. And she and Jabez ended up getting together and getting married and having kids, which is great. And they started rapping together. And it kind of built around that. Also, Jabez was friends with Randy Savage, not Macho Man,
not Macho Man. Yes,
but he's a real crunketeer. And
Crunketeer. That seems like an alternate name the Crunketeers. You didn't go for that.
I didn't go with the Crunketeers. No, it's a little too Justin Timberlake-y.
Okay.
Brittany Justin, that kind of.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it's just like friends, just making friends in the community is what everybody should be doing. This is a PSA for me, sweet baby. You make friends in the community, and then you too can get a gang tattoo in a trailer in Port Hadlock while you watch Glee with a bunch of rappers.
Cool. That really happened.
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah, I got the tattoo in the trailer. in Randy's mom's trailer.
How long did it take to get that tattoo?
Not that long, like 20 minutes maybe.
Now, do you all have that tattoo?
Yeah, we all.
Okay, because I
think we all got tattooed at that point. Anybody that didn't have a tattoo did get tattooed.
Yeah.
I think Randy's girlfriend at the time got a GNCC tattoo too, and then they broke up.
Oh, and now she's got to explain throughout the rest of her life.
Dogs Not Cats Club.
Okay, fair, yeah. Well, if it's an acronym, you can come up with all kinds of stuff, so that's kind of nice. So you guys, how many albums did you put out?
I think there was 9.
9 albums. Yeah. Wow.
I'm testing you, you're gonna get wet. But what I gotta do when you get hit with a wave of come from a boat driven by the speculum? That's what's up, yeah, we having too much fun. Swear Spanks with a face full of titties, son. Yeah, I'm on that.
What do you love about rapping? What do you love about it? Because you continue to rap comedically a lot of times, but I mean, you obviously enjoy it and you're good at it.
I like saying stuff into the mic. I don't know, I just like saying stuff. I've got on my phone, I've got a voice recorder app, and it's got like 6 hours of sets, right? Comedy sets, but then the rest of it is little either raps or jingles or whatever. And I could probably send you a couple of those, just my fun little phone clips.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I like doing it. I like making a spectacle of myself.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just fun, and it's a good mental exercise. If I ever get dementia,
right,
then I will only be able to communicate through raps.
Rap,
just like put a beat on, because my girlfriend works with does old people making better feel.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called? But but she's actually like created classes designed for people that aren't very functional to like kind of draw them out and like communicate through music, like people that haven't spoken in a couple of years. She's told me that she plays like a record for them and they'll start singing along to it. Like
wow.
Music's so it's a part of it exercises parts of the brain that might lie dormant, and like it's a good way to express yourself. So yeah, I'm gonna be like 90 years old sitting in the chair just talking about eating beans and
rap away dementia with Alex McKay.
Yeah, rap away dementia with Alex McKay. I like that.
One of the talking about spectacles, one of the big things that you deal with is you have a very I'd say public beef with Congressman Rick Larsen, the longtime House of Representatives member.
That's right.
So tell me about how he permanently scarred you and sent you down a path of substance abuse and prostitution.
Yeah.
How did this all come about?
Well, Matt, I'll tell you. When I was 13, my brother won. He entered in History Day, which is a competition for smart little youths in school, and they do a presentation, and then if they win in this competition, like region wide, then they go to state, and you go down to Ellensburg, and you compete with everybody from the whole state, and he won state too. Nice. And he went to nationals in Washington D.C. So and then you can win money doing that. And I did it. I went to state, but I never got to nationals, so I was real jealous of him. But I did get to go along with him when he went to nationals. We went out there, and then a friend.
So you actually got to experience the fun of nationals without doing the work.
I know, it was tight. And I was like 13 too. I would have had to be in 6th grade or something. Before, when I was 13, I got a small book of erotic stories from one of the gift shops, and then I read it to my brother's friend's sister, who also came along. That was great. that was tight. That was tight. Yeah, so we went to nationals, and a friend of the school, like of the class or whatever, set us up with a meeting. We got to meet our congressman from District 2, Representative Rick Larsen, and we were all very excited. And it was I was happy, and it was neat to get to meet like a real politician. We went there, and he was even going to let us ask him questions. He was going to answer our questions, and like, wow, we get to really be involved in the political process and see how stuff works, see how these scary politicians act in real life and are real human beings. And me, sweet baby A, 13-year-old, just perky young little scamp, I asked him, my question was, hey, Mr. Rick Larsen, will you thumb wrestle me? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I was speechless. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what?
Was that his tone?
Yeah, he said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That was, yeah. It echoes in my mind. I swear to God. And so, yeah, I was understandably upset.
Yes.
I didn't have any response. I was a 13-year-old boy who just got shut down by the person who he's supposed to represent. He's supposed to be representing me. Like, we're doing this to connect with a politician. He could have had a voter for life.
He kind of acted the same way when it came to giving his superdelegates to Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
He was like, not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Oh, yeah, good job. Nice little pickle that you landed us in here, Rick. So anyways, fast forward through, and that also, like, destroyed my sense of self and made me feel like everything was my fault. And so, downward spiral of addiction and et cetera.
Yes.
Flash forward to a year and a half ago. We were in a bind as a nation, and Rick Larsen was handing off his superdelegates.
Yep.
And one of my more politically minded friends was very upset with our district rep, and he said, "Well, I want to do something about this." I'm not going to name names. But
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But anyways, he wanted to do something. He made like some Facebook group about like, oh, let's send Rick Larsen a message. And everybody's like, yeah, let's all send him a message. But nobody was doing anything. And I was like, hey, I got a real personal beef with him. Let's make some videos trashing this dude for not thumb wrestling me when I was 13 years old. Sweet, you little young, perky, young, nubile scamp. And so we did. And we started making these videos. And great success so far, I think. Mm-hmm. I think we've gotten, something like upwards of 70 hits.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's impressive. Now, there is some backstory where don't you have a relative who works for Rick Larsen, or is that not the case?
No. I mean, I had that friend. It was my friend's older brother who got us in. Who did work for him.
Okay.
Originally, when I asked him to thumb wrestle me.
Right.
Now I've got moles in his campaign.
Ah.
I've got moles in his office. He doesn't know which of his aides are actively conspiring. And he's had a problem with his aides in the past. Mm. It's true. Some of them got fired because they were tweeting about what of a dick he was because they were drinking in his office.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, surprise, surprise. People think that Rick Larsen is dicks.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he is.
Mm.
I think America needs to know.
Rick Larsen, we implore you, pull your thumb out of your ass and meet the challenge. Rick Larsen, bad at thumb wrestling, bad at America. Paid for by Citizens United nationally to harass and irritate Rick.
Now, do you know if Larsen's ever seen any of these videos?
I know that he's seen, or at least is aware of these videos, because some of my moles in his on the inside, working in his staff, tipped me to the fact that he was going to be showing up in Mount Vernon, Washington, or in Burlington, Washington, doing a coffee thing where he's gonna what was he gonna do? Oh, take questions from the audience again. Oh, and how is that gonna work this time, Rick? Is he gonna thumb wrestle me this time? I went down there to find out, and I brought my big sign that said "Thumb wrestle me, Rick." And I went in there and I showed him the sign, and I had to interrupt because he was never going to call on me. And so I said, "Mr. Rick Larsen, I just need to ask you one question. I need to ask you if you will thumb wrestle me." And he said, "Never." He said, I asked him when he was going to thumb wrestle me. He said, "Never." And when he looked over at me, he heard that voice. He knows the Sweet Baby A, high-pitched tones. He knows. He knows me. He's seen my face now. I hadn't seen him since I was a sweet little young baby boy.
But it all came rushing back.
Oh, yeah. Recognition.
Yep.
Sweet Baby A knows how to hold a grudge.
And obviously, he knows you're onto him if he's seen any videos.
Big time.
We know that he is a human-horse hybrid. Is that correct?
Human-horse hybrid bent on disenfranchising voters. He's gone back in time to the 20s and campaigned against women getting the right to vote. Let's see. Oh, obviously, always voting no on horse slaughter bills.
Right.
HR 331, and yeah, I mean he's done a lot to undermine the democratic process. He's seeing checks and balances. He's trying to bounce checks and imbalances.
Huh.
He's trying to make me do wordplay.
Sounds like there's going to be some overdraft fees in his future.
Oh yeah, he's writing checks and balances that his butt can't cash because it's a horse's butt. It's a horse's ass, in fact. Can I say that on here?
Probably. You've said worse already. So.
Shit. Rick Larsen Coffee is the most recent one. Rick Larsen Coffee is that when we got it on film, when they did ask me to leave.
They did?
Well, the guy next to me did. I don't think he was part of the campaign. He just didn't like me.
You had your sign, and he's like, you need to leave.
Yeah, he's like, there are people here trying to ask important questions. Like, I'm trying to ask an important question, too. I'm doing a really high-pitched voice and loudly for the camera who's in the back.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm all heated now.
Yeah.
Should have done this up top. It would have had more energy throughout this podcast.
That's true. So now you are the co-host, along with Lee Cox of the Red Hot Thunder Club. Tell me a little bit about that and where people can find it at.
Red Hot Thunder Club is not only a podcast, a comedy podcast with me and another Bellingham comic, Lee Cox. I am Presidente for life.
Oh, Presidente.
Unimpeachable, undeniable, kind of unreachable even, like deep down. I guess I'm just rhyming now. I'm just saying words that rhyme.
Okay.
But anyways, Red Hot Thunder Club is a club that I started when I was 6. That's where we got it. Started humble beginnings, a small wooden shack in my backyard with not but 4 milk crates to sit on. And we came up with rules. We came up with missions and plans to get back at the Cool Blue Lightning Crew. It has since grown into a nationwide podcast. I emailed it to my friend who lives in Kentucky.
That's nationwide. That's quite a lot.
In fact, international, because I also have a friend who lives in Italy.
And they have heard.
She said that she has listened to an episode.
So you have a lot of allies in the fight against the Cool Blue Lightning Crew.
That's right.
Now, have they responded at all to your attacks?
Cool Blue Lightning Crew is basically comprised of anybody that is working against the Red Hot Thunder Club's interests, whether they know it or not.
Okay.
Rick Larsen, for example.
Right.
Miguel Ortiz beefing with me, trying to say I'm not a rapper when he only can just do one rhyme, and it's not even a true rhyme, and also the rhyme scheme is way off. You don't do A, B, C, A. That's not how... read a book. Read a book about how to become a rapper for dummies, because you is one. Anyways. Wasted enough time on that fool. Anybody that basically catches my eye in a negative way in the moment,
okay,
we induct them into the Cool Blue Lightning Crew and we talk about it. Trying to get on that regular schedule.
Yeah,
I think
anybody who is part of the Cool Blue Lightning Crew could be whooped. In other words,
could
you whoop them? You can.
Yeah, and. You know, we did talk about you on...
We did. I was a discussion part of could I be whooped?
Yes.
And I think the consensus was overwhelmingly yes.
It was a resounding, yes, we could whoop them. But yeah, the segment, could I whoop them? I've also been thinking about, it is right now, could I whoop them? Could we whoop them? But really, we should be thinking about, should I whoop them?
Right. Do they deserve it?
And
with Rick
Larsen...
so
much time thinking about, can we whoop them?
But Rick Larsen, obviously.
Oh, yeah, he needs a whooping.
Yeah.
Whooping online. This is not a threat of violence
at all.
At all. Just saying. A whooping
a rhetorical whooping.
Exactly. An ideological whooping.
Yes.
A whooping in the polls.
That's right. The podcast is, there's the best way to describe it, there's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of butt humor.
A lot of butt humor, a lot of ding-dong jokes. It's an interesting dynamic because Lee and I have very different communication styles.
Yes.
Lee is very reserved and well-spoken, and I am very exuberant and explorious, and I make up words.
Fair enough. Yeah, that you just made one up.
It's about capturing that childhood. Remember all that stuff that was taken away from me in my childhood?
That's right.
We're getting it back. We're reclaiming it.
Bonus round.
Bonus
lightning round.
Hey. Thunder round.
This is the thunder round. Sorry.
Right.
Thunder round.
All right.
Red thunderous round. Hot
rounds. Let's
go. Rounds. All right. So first off, I asked all the comedians this. What's the closest you've ever come to dying?
Closest I ever came to dying was, I don't know. I should have died a lot of times, like, drinking way too much. Like if a regular person were to drink the amount that I was drinking, they would die.
Right.
What's a good one though? Almost had an aneurysm when Rick Larsen said that he'd never thumb wrestle me. Very close.
Yeah.
I think I've led a pretty charmed life though. Knock wood. Is this wood?
No.
fuck.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been in any serious car accidents. I never, like, had to flee from a hail of bullets. Probably closest I'd come to dying was doing it to myself with good old drugs and alcohol. Ask your doctor if drugs and alcohol is right for you.
Right. And when you're doing that much, there's all sort of terrible situations that could have happened.
Oh,
where
sure.
You could have, yeah.
Hypotheticals.
Yeah. Okay.
I've died on stage more than I care to relive.
Yeah. So the other question here, and I like asking this because you get a wide range of responses.
Yep.
And it could be rational, could be irrational. What do you fear most in life?
What do I fear most in life? I mean, I'm not afraid of making an ass of myself, obviously. But I am afraid that, I don't know, that I'm afraid that people don't like me. That was a scary thing. But I don't think that's going to happen because look at me. I mean, look at me.
That's right.
Hear this voice. I don't know. That's why I just try to, like, be a good person always, and I'll screw up and stuff. But if I do stuff that makes people feel awful, that's what I fear most. Accidentally doing something that really hurts somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or on purpose doing something that really hurts somebody.
Yeah.
Unless that person is Rick Larsen.
In which
and
case,
it's with my words.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So that's definitely. Do you have any irrational fears?
Irrational fears. I kind of don't want to do tarot.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid of what. Like, my girlfriend's gotten into doing tarot lately, and she keeps asking me if I want to do it. I'm like, yeah, maybe not right
Get
now.
that death card, and you're like, now you're gonna be.
No,
really...
death is good. That's about change and renewal. But
That's true.
Like, what if? And the Hanged Man is about like just kind of settling and like enjoying, or not enjoying, but just being okay with what's going on, even if it's not comfortable and stuff. But I don't know. What if you get like a what does the Six of Pentacles mean? Like, I don't know, and I don't want to find out.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what's gonna happen. I would like to know it if it's good, but I like being in denial.
Mm-hmm.
It's very comfortable for me.
Yeah.
And so if I am confronted with what my worries and fears are, rather not.
So you're one of those people who'd rather not know how you died.
Yeah, I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
Would you like to know?
No, probably not, because the idea of knowing how you die or knowing when you die appeals to me as far as you're like, okay, I have this much time to do what I want.
Right.
Right. So you have a finite end date, but at the same time, which is really motivating, but at the same time, if you find out like, oh, you're gonna die horribly in 5 years, then you're like, well, I don't want to know that,
Well, what if they didn't even give you a time though? What if they just gave you a method?
Ooh. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, just fire. So now
I would want to know, for time purposes, I'd want to know how long I had, but I don't want to know how I die. I'd rather not know that.
All right. Well, I'll give you about 45 more years.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'd make me like close to 70. It's about the average life expectancy for an adult male in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem like an adult.
You seem like an adult. Okay. So I think that about covers our questions.
Okay.
Is there anything else you wanted to add? You wrote
jerk
off instruction.
I did write jerk off instruction on here. Obviously, the Red Hot Thunder Club is something that is very important to me, and I really like doing it because it makes me feel like a little baby boy again.
And it's very entertaining. I will say.
I think that's really nice of you to say. And Lee's very funny, and we have guests on it too. I don't know. I'm on Twitter, which is at @alsexmckay, and then Red Hot Thunder Club. I think I mentioned earlier, RHT Club on Twitter. And Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. You can go to give.classy.org/JohnnyTrash to donate money that goes directly to cancer research at Fred Hutchinson. And my dad has some videos on Vimeo under the name Johnny Trash of he and I singing songs in the car.
Those are pretty good.
And then I dress up in a yellow suit. I dress as Cancer, and I go run around hassling my dad and
then
all
he
his
beats
friends.
you up? Or?
Yeah, and then they whop me with the Cancer bets.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I also do have a good jerk off instruction video up on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's part of the JOI division, the Joy division of the Red Hot Thunder Club.
Yeah.
I basically instruct anyone with a wing wong on how to stroke it in a comedy way. And just slow down. We're not in any rush. I don't have anywhere to be. My hours got cut. And I like it.
Everyone likes it. It's
You
good.
like it? Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Did you watch it alone?
I don't know.
You can answer that.
I was probably by myself.
Oh, yeah.
Not in that way, but I did watch it without anybody else.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's how it's meant to be watched.
That's just the laughter just for you.
All right.
So at this point, I like to ask people to do their own outro music.
All right.
So you can make any noises you want to end this program.
All right. That's a fun thing that you do. I like it. And I really do thank you for bringing me on.
Yes.
How about one of my classic hits? Yes, me, your sweet old baby, and I'm here today with my Benoit. Is it clipping on the microphone? You don't know, but I'm gonna tell you now, baby. Now, and I'm gonna sing until you cut it, and I'm not gonna stop no way. I'm mapping while here now, sweet baby. Red Hot Thunder Club, tube tickling, jerk off instruction, and Rick Larsen. Oh, go and see my things and give the song to my dad. I knew all the things that you want to do. Why is that hole in the window? Learn how to sing on key, Alex. Why don't you learn how to sing on key? Why don't you get out of here and eat a protein bar? Why don't you do a lot of stuff? Because you don't have a car, but you know lots of people that do have vehicles. You know that you got a new phone from him. I bought it from the Verizon store. Give a 5-star review to John Lee. He's got his own podcast, but it's not Red Hot Thunder Club. That's my podcast. And then we're talking about podcasts and talking about roadcasts and talking about big old dirt cloudcasts.